Creating a work-life balance begins with understanding who we are and what is at the core of our values. When we are aware of who we are as a person and our relationship within the world, then we have the potential to realize how and when our gifts will be most valuable to others and to ourselves. In search of the gifts of other healers and finding the movers and shakers in the world, I've been endeavoring to learn more about the tips and tools of the wellness industry for those who have skills in creating energetic alignment and flow for others. My journey over the last few years has opened my eyes to all the assistance and the love that is being held open for each of us. And if we are truly interested in healing and thriving, it's there. As many of you know, I live in the beautiful surroundings of Unama'ki, Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia. And I live in Canada, where I'm at home in a little tiny place called Mabu, also known as the Shining Waters. I'm at the place of the heart of Celtic music and dance, and home to the Mi'kmaq and Maliseet people. My guest today, Robyn Weston, lives about as far away from me as is possible, and lives on a beautiful island off the bottom of Australia known as Tasmania, home to the Palawa people. Robyn has 7 grandchildren, a partner and furry baby, and you can often find her rejuvenating in her garden and in nature. As many of us in the healing world enjoy, we have a work life that has been transformed by our need to find joy, health, and prosperity. Robyn began her service to others over 40 years ago in human resources with a government role in supporting others with their work lives and challenges. Robyn built a best practice program that is still used today in Australia. Our journey today begins with Robyn's choice to leave the corporate world and venture out as a healer. For the last 12 years, she's transformed her skills through the addition of Reiki, intuitive emotional healing, and being a change facilitator and way-shower, as she describes it. What led to her transformation? Well, in today's episode, we explore her inspiration to change. You're listening to Be Well with Michelle Greenwell. This episode is sponsored by the Cape Breton Tea Company and Dance Debut Inc. And please welcome my Tasmanian guest, Robyn Weston. Welcome, Robyn.
Thank you, Michelle. I am so delighted to be with you here today. The sun's just coming up here way down south. We're actually 42 degrees south, so a long way from you. And I'm so delighted to be here. Thank you.
So before we begin our conversation, I'd like to set the intention for our listeners. This is new for the season. So from my affirmations for the body and biofield deck, which can be found in the shop at dancedebut.com, I've chosen a card special for us today from Meeting the Divine. So there's 4 card decks in the actual package. So I'm just going to hold up, so the listeners on the podcast, I'm just holding up the front cover to the card deck, which is black and has a beautiful picture on the front. And then I've got a card here that I pulled for the 11th chakra, and it is for the right hand. So the 11th chakra is in the hands, and this one has, it has like a bright sun, has a glow that goes around it, which is quite distinct, and then a hand reaching out. And this card has an affirmation that goes with it, which is, it is safe to offer my gifts to the world. Every cell in my body awakens and rejoices with love. So for those people who are listening, I just want you to think about those words a little bit. And we're going to bring that intention into the conversation that we have today. And to go along with that, Robyn has a cup of tea that she has ready at her house. Do you want to share what you have today, Robyn?
I'd love to. So I've got a beautiful, it's actually an Australian blend made by an Australian boutique company. And it's a gingerbread chai barista's blend. And I loved anything ginger. So when I first tried this in a coffee shop, I walked up to the man and I said, can I buy that from you? And he said, no, but I can tell you where to get it from. And I just love it. It's just got all of the beautiful little herbs and spices, cardamom, and all the really, I actually feel like I'm somewhere exotic when I'm drinking it. I love it.
Isn't it nice to be transformed that way?
Yes.
Yeah. And what mug did you put it in today?
Okay, so my little mug, it's a bit cute, and it says on the front, it's got a picture of a tree, and in the tree are all these little cups and saucers, and the heading is ornithology and the coffee versus tea debate. And underneath the tree, there's two little men, and one's saying cockachinos and the other one's saying cockatoos. I'll just show you, Michelle.
Oh, is that ever neat? I love it. I never thought of a tea tree. Total different idea to the essential oil. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, and I have from the Cape Breton Tea Company, I have from the Tea with Intention series, the Honeybee. This has apple, vanilla, honey bush. I love honey bush because it gives just a nice light flavor of honey, which without adding sugar. And this one, the inspiration that's on the package is feel the boost to your spirit and the playfulness and joy that transpires. A zest to life is encouraged with each sip. So I've put it in my dance debut mug. This is the mug from when I originally opened my company. My company's 36 years old. And at that time, it was all about what style of dance I was teaching. Now it's all about somatic movement and emotion and expression. So things have transformed a little bit, just like we're trying to do today with setting up our intentions and creating the atmosphere for people listening to actually have a transformative experience out of the podcast, not just listening. So we hope that you've also made your tea blend. So I'm going to just give a cheer to you, Robyn. Thank you so much for joining me. It's so cool to be able to do this from across, the other side of the globe. It's so wonderful.
Isn't it? Cheers, Michelle.
Okay. So, Robyn, tell me what transpired to make you shift from a corporate world, which has nice, the money flows in easily and you're sitting in a nice position. You have the opportunity to do a lot of things there. What was it that made you really want to transform and shift over to the healing world?
Well, that's a really good question. When I think back over the things that did happen in that time, and we're talking about 12 years ago, my entire career has been about helping people. I knew that's what I wanted to do, and I thought that HR was a good fit for me. And I went and did the study and got the tertiary qualifications and made my way up the corporate ladder, and I was doing very, very well. And that, it was a good job. I was getting paid a lot of money, and it was, helping me with my lifestyle, but it wasn't filling my soul, and I wasn't happy. And I actually was asked to do a lot of redundancy programs. I was working towards the end of my career. I was working as the national recruitment manager for Medicare here in Australia, and there was a period where the government was going through a lot of job cuts, and as I was in the recruitment role, they gave me the job of making people redundant, which, as you can imagine, is not a very pleasant job. But apparently I was very good at it. So
Isn't that great?
Well, it was good and it was bad. So I got a bit of recognition out of it, but it really wasn't a very nice thing to do. But I developed a program, as you mentioned, that helped people to move through that process. Often men that were in their 50s and plus that were likely never going to get a job again. So that was really a big change for me. I did do some fantastic work moving people into jobs through that program that I designed, and then it was adopted across the Australian government later on. I found out actually after I left the public service. So that was kind of nice. That was kind of a legacy for me. But I kind of realised that it wasn't a good fit for me, and I felt like, because I made it to sort of the executive level by then, it felt like a toxic workplace. So combined with all of that, and at that 12-year point, it was like a watershed moment for me. Everything was wrong. I didn't like my job. We got sued. I got sick. I fell into debt of $250,000. Things just seemed to be happening all the time that felt like bad luck. And I really felt like I was failing at life. And it was almost like I could see the road stretched out in front of me, but it felt like I was at the end of the road. And not in terms of my life, it was just, I don't know what to do now. I'm not happy with what I'm doing. And there's a whole lot of things that are, where the wheels are falling off in my life. And I had to do something. So I left that corporate job, which I remember people walking up to me at work and saying, "You're so brave, you're going out to, do something on your own." And I thought, well, no, I think this is the time. This is the time for me to actually do something on my own. So I started a little business, and it was a successful business, and I ran that for about 4 years, but it was the wrong fit. And so during this period of time, I was starting to, I don't even remember how I came across it, but I was starting to listen to more spiritual things. I was starting to listen to podcasts. I was actually listening to Rhonda Byrne's The Hero quite often, and hearing about all these people, how they were manifesting things in their life, and it really, really interests me. So one day in that little period when I was running that other business, I remember being all alone, and I heard audibly Spirit speaking to me. And the words were, "Robyn, you are meant to use your hands and to heal people." Wow. And you are meant to create. And it actually stopped me in my tracks. I looked around and thought, who said that? And it was amazing. My hands were meant to create and heal. So I thought, wow, okay, maybe there is something in that. And then a whole bunch of things happened. And I think that the turning point was, I made a conscious decision to change what was happening, the way I was living, the way I was thinking, the way I was being in the world. And then things started to move. And I remember my friend, she said to me, "I need you to go and see this guy, and he's running a little conference." And so I sort of thought, okay, well, I'll try anything at this point. And I went along to this little seminar, and it was the first time I'd ever heard of this crazy thing called inner work. And it just blew my mind. This guy was talking to me. It was like he was talking to my spirit. And I actually spent the next 6 months working with him, doing this little thing called inner work. And it completely changed my life. You see, he's a person who is highly spiritual himself, but he's able to read people, and he works on understanding the subconscious and our subpersonalities. So it was fascinating work, and I actually had my own transformation in that 6-month period. I wasn't all the way I needed to go, obviously. This journey that we're on about learning and discovering, it's a lifelong thing. You don't sign off, like you do on a university course, okay, that's done. It's just, you keep going and you keep going. And the more you learn, the more you want to learn. So after that, it just felt like healers and a band of angels came across my path, and my tribe started changing. And I'll be honest, some people left my life, and some amazing people came into it. So that's how I kind of started off, going down a completely different track. And I wasn't a healer at that point, but I was being immersed in the healing world from these amazing healers that I was coming into contact with. And I wasn't even looking for them. It was just like this divine intervention, which was awesome.
Isn't that the truth? Because it's almost like you don't even know where you would look, because you don't even really know what you're looking for. You just know it needs to be different. But what is that? And yeah, I'm appreciating your story, thinking of my own and the things that came into my world too, and said, pay attention. And I paid attention instead of just saying, well, one day I'll get there one day. I'm busy with these other things. Yeah, it's really interesting. Wow, that's quite a story because too, to be in significant amount of debt and just to know that unhappiness was holding or gripping onto you, to be able to figure out how to calm that and move yourself forward. That's a huge challenge, and also beautiful compliment, which isn't even the right word, to the spirit with which you're living your life. Because for many people, they could be paralyzed in that position and not be able to go forward. So that's really remarkable. Okay, so if we fast forward a little bit, tell me a little bit about how that work now has transformed you, because you have a new business, you have new projects and programs that you've been able to offer people. Do you want to kind of talk about the evolution of getting into that space and what it's meant for you?
I'd love to, because this is the part that has been so exciting for me. And it, in terms of what brought me to the idea of becoming a healer to support others, well, it was my own healing that started all of this. And I just felt so lucky to have people that could help me. And then, of course, there was this message that I got that I spoke about before, and I got a bit curious about it. And I thought, we all go through, all healers, or we all go through this imposter syndrome where you think, oh, that was really nice that someone could do that for me, but I could never do that for somebody else. And it took some courage to push through that, because I was feeling like I was wanting to at least help people. And the thing that it was opening me up to a very exciting new world. And the more that I was healing myself and the more I was learning about healing and energy healing, the more I was feeling aligned with my own self, my own soul. And one day, I don't even know why I did it. I just kind of Googled Reiki. The word Reiki came, I didn't even know what it was. So I'm Googling Reiki, and I look down the list and I find a person, and I thought, oh, that name sticks out to me. I think I'll just give that person a call. And I rang her and I said, I don't know anything about Reiki, but I need to know apparently. So she said, well, come on over and we'll have a chat, and I'll do some Reiki for you and you can experience it. So I did that, and I thought, wow, this is so amazing. I love this. And I felt so good afterwards. And I said, okay, how can I learn this? Tell me how I can learn it. And so she was obviously a Reiki master, and I ended up doing my Reiki training with her, and I'm a Reiki master now, after a few years of training and working with people. And that's been really good. And that was the beginning of me understanding energy. And I have this amazing fascination with energy. And so that I'll get to that in a minute. But the next part was that my brother was actually studying something called the emotion code, and he needed someone to practice on. So he said, come on over and let me, release all your trapped emotions. And I said, yes, please, that would be fantastic if you can do that. So I went over there and we had several sessions, and again, mind-blowing. I couldn't believe what he was finding that was stuck within me and releasing it, and then what that felt like. And this is just, it's all energy. And so just to wind back a little bit, when I was a child, do you remember watching this show Lassie, the dog show at Lassie?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I used to watch this show, and my mother would come in and turn the TV off because I would be crying my eyes out. I would be feeling so many feelings, and I would just be sobbing and sobbing about this dog story. And mum would say, oh my goodness, I think I need to turn the TV off. You're getting so sad. But that's the level to what I was feeling. And so I knew that I could feel, or I used to be able to feel. And the things that had happened to me in my life had actually shut down my ability to feel. And it's because I had developed a heart wall. So a heart wall is where your body takes the negative energies that you're storing in your body, and when it gets to the point where it can't take anymore, it will start to create an energetic wall around your heart. And so in this discovery with my brother doing the emotion code for me, he said, oh my goodness, he said, your heart wall is made of iron and it's 2 feet thick. I thought, that makes sense. There's nothing getting through there. So this was the beginning of me breaking down my heart wall, and it helped me to start to feel again. And so I was even becoming more fascinated with this energy, like what, and of course we all know quantum physics has proven that energy is everything and everywhere. We are energy. And so this just grew as an absolute passion thing for me, to the point where in working with this, I actually became an emotion code practitioner as well, because I just needed to know more and more and more about this. But the thing that happened in that learning how to be a practitioner was this discovery, and it felt like a discovery to me, of being able to tap into the subconscious mind. And this was just, it's like a door flung open for me in terms of being able to heal people and to help people, because working with the subconscious, you can access anything you need to know about a person. And I have to caveat that saying I'm not interested in people's deep, dark secrets. I've got enough of my own to deal with, thanks. But the thing is, it's like that iceberg, the iceberg in the Titanic, and the conscious mind is that little tiny bit sticking out the top of the water, where the subconscious mind is that massive 99% that is sitting hidden under the water, that seemingly is inaccessible, but it's not. And so I started working with accessing people's trapped emotions and their heart wall and other energetic imbalances. I started working with people to figure out how we could release that. And it turns out it's very, very easy. You do it with muscle testing. And so you can, through muscle testing, it's just like kinesiology, kinesiologists will do muscle testing on people to find out what body imbalances are in a person. But I wanted to take it further. So this was just so amazing to me that I thought, okay, well, if I can access someone's subconscious, that means I can show other people how to do this. And because I had this incredible fascination with energy and energy healing, one day it just came to me, I need to teach other people this secret. It shouldn't be a secret. It's something that we really, really need for other people to know. And so that's how my programs have developed. So I decided that the best thing I could do for people was to show them how to use energy, and energy for just your everyday life, energy for understanding what's going on with your body, energy for healing yourself, and for finding balance and creating balance in the body. So that's how my program sort of evolved, and it's really, I might talk to you about that in a little while, but it's been a way that I can almost combine what I've learned, combine what I've been doing in terms of energy healing, and it's kind of like creating a new modality, but a new modality that I want to share with as many people as I can. Because if you're able to access your subconscious mind, every single thing about you is within your subconscious mind. And yes, it's the thing that tells you how to breathe in, to breathe out. It tells your body to pump blood around your body. It works on your digestive system, all by you not having to think about that. But also every single thing about you is stored in that subconscious mind. So if you and I were to pass each other once in the street and we looked at each other, your subconscious would remember my eye colour, whereas your conscious mind wouldn't even register that. It knows everything right down to your cellular level, so it can tell you what's happening within your body. We can discover what energetic blocks you have that you're storing in your body that could potentially be holding you back from what you really want to do in your life. And this includes limiting beliefs. So limiting beliefs are also energy, and they're things that they impede what we are here to do even, or what we want to do in our life, because they're telling us that we can't do that for whatever reason. So yes, this really kind of grew into something, and I decided that I just needed to get this out to the world. I also realised along the way here that I love teaching, and so that has been a really nice thing for me to do for people as well. Like, I really love teaching this stuff, and that came about because I would have clients here for Reiki or other treatments, and they'd be going through something or other, and I'd say to them, have you tried this? And I'd give them a little tip, a little sort of energy tool tip, and they'd say, oh, that's fantastic, I'll try that. And I felt like I kept repeating myself over and over. I'm thinking, there must be a way to package this up so I don't have to keep repeating this over and over. And that kind of led into as well, you know, the program. And it's been amazing. We're really, really enjoying it.
That is so beautiful. And it's funny how how things weave, how they weave in and out, and where things have not been connected before, how we have this way of finding this way to bring that connection in. And you're right, it's the same thing. We speed up how quickly we can make a change, and then we would like everybody to have that opportunity, because it's energy, it's simple, and that transformation that can happen is so beautiful to watch somebody's eyes light up, and the tension in their body release, and a pain that's been gnawing at them for a long time all of a sudden just dissipates, just because they didn't know how to cope with it. It's such a beautiful experience and opportunity to help others.
Yes, and I find that we have, I mean, let's talk about energy in the body. If you were to go and operate on someone, you can't go in and find that. You won't be able to see it. Like you can see something else that's maybe growing in the body, or something wrong physically within the body. The energies are always affecting us, but we can't see them. But nonetheless, they're entirely real. So what I do is I work with finding those energies and either releasing them or balancing them. And that makes a massive difference, especially for chronic pain, for things that have developed as a long-term manifestation into a physical thing. That can happen too. So, you know, if you're holding negative energies within your body, it's something happens called resonance. So each one of those negative energies, let's just say it might be a trapped emotion of frustration, and you're holding that like a little ball of low frequency energy within your body, that's vibrating 24/7. And so eventually, and that's going to resonate with the tissues around that part of your body. And then that can, over time, it can form into something that is actually physical. So this is the importance of understanding what energies we're holding in our body that aren't serving our best health and being able to release those.
Do you have some stories that you want to share about some of the people that you may have worked with, and people might be able to resonate with the same ideas?
Absolutely. I've been working with a lady recently who, when she first came to see me, she was in tears. She looked broken. She was broken. She was very broken. And she was ready to give up. And she was in her 60s. And there have been things that have been occurring in her life for decades that were pretty bad. And she just couldn't seem to get away from it. And then more things were happening. And then at this time that I saw her, she was in a job where everything was going wrong. The relationships at work were really crumbling. And she was thinking that everyone was doing this to her. And she was really miserable. And to the point where things were getting so bad at work that she was just about to lose her job. And she was the breadwinner for the family, so there was an enormous amount of pressure on her to have a job. And you know, she had, like most people, had a mortgage and was supporting other people. So when I first saw her, she was in such a terrible state, and she just wanted an out, you know. And I think the out was going to be, if she couldn't find something that was really going to turn her life around, she was going to take some other measures. And it was pretty bad. So we just started with looking at what she was holding within her body. What were the emotional negative energies that she was holding in her body. And she actually had chronic sinus pain. Like she was on antibiotics all the time for getting rid of sinus. So we started working through her energetic baggage, I call it. and you know, it's like you're carrying a suitcase of bricks around with you all the time, and it's really dragging you down. So we worked through all of that, and it took quite a while. She was holding lots and lots of stuff within her body. And then she actually took my program as well. So I was working with her privately, but then she decided to take my program. And I remember towards the end of the program, and she'd already said this to me, that she'd been feeling lighter and lighter, like she could do anything, that she started to dream of things that even at 64 years age, she decided that there was a life that was going to be for her, and she was dreaming of this life, and she felt lighter, and she had found another job. She had reduced the sinus pain, the actual antibiotics that she was taking, she managed to stop taking. And she just said to me, Robyn, she said, I just don't care. I'm just so carefree. And I thought that made me so happy, because the person that I met a few months before that was ready to do the unthinkable. And she actually has decided to become a healer, and she's already started she's still working in a job to keep her mortgage payments going, but she started in a job now, well, not a job, she started her own business of a healing business. And I'm not saying that everyone should go through this and become a healer, but that's what she really wanted to do. And her life has completely changed. And, that just gives me so much joy to see that kind of transformation in people.
Mm-hmm.
I see other transformations as well. Like, I had a client not long ago who was not very old. She was only in her 30s and had fallen into alcoholism. And we worked with her. We found some trapped emotions and some inherited emotions. Actually, there's a lot of us walking around with stuff that isn't even ours. We've brought it through from our ancestors. And when you think about that, just going off on a tangent here, but when you think about that, first of all, it's not yours, and secondly, you've had this since conception. So I can talk a bit more about that if you want me to as well, because that's another really interesting part of this work. But this particular lady, we only had 4 sessions, and the last time she came to see me, she said, I've just stopped drinking. I just don't want it anymore. And I was actually astounded by that one. That was fantastic. And there's other stories as well. Just another really quick one. The lady that I've been working with, who lives in the States, she's a fantastic artist, but through her life circumstances, she had put all of that aside. She was trying to do her art, but she needed to earn money. And so she was in a corporate role, and she still is at the moment, but she took my program, and we've been working privately together to release the energetic imbalances that she has in her body. And she has now got to the point where that business has taken off, and she's now earning money from it, so that she's now getting to the point where in probably 5 years' time, she can let go of that corporate job and do what she loves and still have the income coming through. And she told me she tried so many things. She tried so many coaches that were trying to help her with her business, but they weren't looking at the underlying causes or what was preventing her energetically from, taking those steps and feeling good about it. So there's lots of little stories like that. Some are really big and some are smaller, but I just get joy out of every single person that I see make some kind of transformation in their life.
And you said something really interesting when I was trying to figure out how I wanted to bring around the skills that I'm working with, and realizing that if you're not well yourself, your business is affected, your job is affected, your colleagues are affected, and then you've got your personal life. But there is this synergy that goes on between your work life and your personal life. And so to try to fix in one part but not in another part just means you just keep repeating yourself, because you never quite get out of the cycle. And things come back around and you say, oh, that didn't work. And it didn't work because you didn't quite balance everything that needed to come together as a wholeness, because even your professional life is who you are, rather than as a separate entity. Yeah, that's very interesting the way you said that. So it's so interesting how simple the transformations are, how dramatic they can be, but also what shows up. So even like you said about the person who stopped drinking, you don't always know where the change is going to happen. You just know that energetically things will be more in alignment or balance. And then once that happens, the pieces that don't need to be there anymore can just fall away. But sometimes we don't know what those pieces are. And sometimes we're looking at a linear map looking forward and not realizing the pieces that have fallen away. So it's always lovely when you can look back. And as the person that's supporting, often we see more of that because we see the transformation. And the person themselves, once it's in alignment, they actually can't quite remember what was before because it's so in alignment, they're just moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting because until I discovered this thing about what we store in our subconscious mind that actually is running in the background all the time, we just don't know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like pulling the strings, like you're a puppet and it's pulling all these strings, and you can try and work against it, but it's a bit like I use this analogy because I think people can understand it. If you've got all this if you've got energetic imbalances or trapped emotions within your body, it takes a lot of energy I'll say this a different way. Think about a beach ball. Have you ever seen those beach balls where you blow up and they're all colourful and they're like plastic, and you go and play with it in the water and you try to push it under the water, and how much energy it takes to keep that ball under the water? So eventually it's just going to burst violently to the surface, isn't it?
Exactly.
Well, this is a kind of way I use to describe what you're holding in there is taking so much of your energy to keep it in there. But at the same time, you can't get it out because you don't even know it's there. And it just keeps playing on and playing out in ways in your life. And I know from my own experience that back that 12 years ago when I had all those things going wrong in my life, and I remember my best friend said to me, she said, "Oh, Robyn, you have so much bad luck." And it wasn't bad luck. It was because I was fighting against a few things. One, I wasn't in alignment with what my soul wanted me to do, what I was here for. And the other thing was I was holding on to all of this negative energy. And so the thing with negative energy is that if you're holding on, we'll use frustration, okay, as another example. If you're holding frustration as a trapped emotion within your body, it's actually resonating at a particular vibrational rate. So that's 24/7. So it's like beaming out all the time. Or that's just one emotion. I've had people that have got 300 trapped emotions. There's lots of energies coming out. So that negative energy is being beamed out from you. And so what happens is a mirroring effect. And so what will happen is the universe will then latch onto that frequency and then show you something else in your life that matches that frequency, so you get frustrated again. So if you've ever noticed you've been in a room with a group of people and all of a sudden somebody gets triggered and everyone looks around and thinks, wow, where did that come from? That's because of what's happening within that person and what they're holding within their body. That's being triggered because that vibrational energy, that low vibrational energy that they're holding. So these are the things that we're just walking around and we don't know this is held within us. Once you free that up, it's almost like you reset your body to its natural state. So I just find it fascinating.
Totally. And the thing too, to know that pattern can sit there and it has two sides. It has the sides of frustration and it has the ability to be let go. And when people realize they don't have to hold it and own it, you might have to own your repercussions of what you've done as a result of it, but you don't have to own it and hold it and keep it as yours. You can actually let it go and look at the other side and what that provides for you. Because like you said, when you start looking the other way, all these things that you didn't know were sitting there. They were ready to be seen, but you weren't ready to see them.
Yes, and you need to know how to get to them. So that's why I love this work, because it just, you can easily find these and allow them to go.
Mm. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about your program and how people can find you if they want to know more?
I would love to. So my signature program is called the Orenda program, and a little background story that how we named that, the Orenda program. So the Orenda is a Native American Indian term from the Iroquois, and in short it means great spirit and magical powers. So a broadened meaning of this is a mystical force present in all people that empowers them to affect the world or to change their own fate or destiny. So what are we talking about? We're talking about energy. So being able to understand that energy, it is a mystical force, but it doesn't need to be a mystery. And we can use that to empower our own world and change our own destiny just by that awareness. So within the program, it runs for 10 weeks, and I'm starting the next program in May this year, but I'll be running programs into the future as well. So one of the really fun things that we do in this program is everyone gets their own energy toolkit. So right from the get-go, we start working with energy. We start playing with energy, and I teach everyone tips and tools just for daily life things: how to balance your chakras, how to ask your subconscious a question. We use a pendulum. I actually teach people how to activate and use their pendulum so they can start accessing their own subconscious, and they absolutely love it. It's so much fun. We do lots of energy play, and so we're actually developing our own energy toolkit for life. The real keystones to this program are awareness and vibration. So in learning about energy, we're actually starting to understand more about ourselves and the world around us. We're actually looking at our inner and outer worlds. We're looking at how our energy affects our outer world and how that plays back to us. And in learning these powerful tools that are really simple, we can't help but to become more aware of our world and the environment that we're living and about ourselves. So in harnessing energy, we then become more responsible with our energy. And then we realize that everything is a choice. So we start to move into what are we choosing in our world, because we've got more awareness. And I have to say, once you start to get into this, you can't go back, because you know how great this can be in your life. Mm-hmm. And you're starting to really open up. And we go through a whole lot of life practices, I guess you call them, that enhance our life. And we talk about forgiveness, gratitude, meditating, and I work through all of these things. Some of the people that come into this program have never ever done anything like this before. They've never been exposed to healing, energetic healing, never seen might have seen a pendulum before, but thought that was a bit woo-woo. and within 5 minutes, they absolutely love it. So the other keystone is vibration. So what I'm teaching people is how to raise your vibration. And it's not just so you feel better. I firmly believe that the whole world is trying to move from a third dimension to a fifth dimension right now. There's massive changes happening with the earth, massive changes happening across the world. And that's the collective consciousness moving us in that direction. And so we talk about third dimensional thinking versus fifth dimensional thinking. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to be in fifth dimensional thinking, you're not going to be thinking all those lower vibrations. You're not going to be feeling those lower emotions or staying down in that density. So raising our vibration is one of the most important things anyone can do, in my view, to bring the world, like one by one, it only needs every person to do this, to bring us one by one into that higher dimension where things are positive. We have compassion, we have love for the people in the world. We don't judge, we don't hate. So I feel very strongly about that. And this Arenda program gets that started because people suddenly realise they start to use frequency music to raise their vibration. Just little tips and tools that actually get you started to actually experience what that feels like. And again, once you feel that, you don't want to come down again because it's so much better being in those high vibrations. And also that awareness ties into that because you're aware of how you're vibrating. And so as soon as you start vibrating in going down into those lower frequencies, you recognize it sooner and you can bring yourself, well, you have a choice. You have a choice to bring it back up. And so yeah, we have a lot of fun and there's tons and tons of content in there. And yeah, if people want to move into a more advanced program with major healing, major energetic healing that I do, we clear all the baggage. Then I have an advanced program, but people need to go through the Arenda program first. But that's happening at the moment as well, and that'll be offered again later at some stage, perhaps this year. So that's what we do.
And how do they find you, Robyn? What's your contact?
Okay, so there's several ways to contact me. You can book a discovery call for free, and I'll just get on the phone or on a Zoom call and have a chat with you about what you want and how I can help you. You can find me at soulv.com.au, which is my website, or you can email me at hello@soulv.com.au. And I've got a Facebook page, Soulv Tasmania, and a LinkedIn page as well. So you can find me in a number of different places, and I don't mind any of those.
That's awesome. Okay, so I know we could keep going and we could talk through lots of lovely techniques and pieces. To finish today, though, is there something you'd like to share just to get people active and moving today? After they've finished this podcast, what could they be doing?
Okay, so one of the if you're stuck behind a desk like a lot of us are, and for me it always is walking, but I know everyone knows walking, but I love a back stretch. So what I find is and this actually activates the governing meridian, which in Chinese medicine they're like the energy channels that run through our body, and it starts at the top of our lip and goes up over the top of our head and down to our spine. So this is a really good governing meridian activation as well. So you can do this just standing, or I like to do it in the shower with a lot of beautiful warm water running down my back. So you can start by just dropping. You're going to actually do like a spine curl. So you're going to drop the head, drop the chin down to your chest, and then gradually just go all the way down with your arms pointing down towards your toes. Hold that for 10 seconds. And then gradually curl all the way back up again. And I do that about 5 times, and I've got very tight muscles in my legs, and I find that when I first start, there's no way I can touch my toes. But after 5 of those, it's stretched so much so quickly that I can get down to my toes, and I find that really helps my back.
Oh, beautiful. I'm going to add to that because that's I think this would be a lovely complement for it. So if you've got that whole rolling down, finding that length and getting that governing meridian to shine, if we took the hands and turned the palms up and then just pull the hands up and out in front on a slant, turn the palms over and then bring them back. And that gives that same little tug to the governing meridian, but it also has all of the energy lines that come through the hands. So then we could just complement what you've suggested. And those are known as hands only for a Danyu. And Danyu's in Tai Chi. It's spelled Donyu, 2 words. And that one just will open everything up and get the breath to relax. So after you've rolled down, come back up, you have that opportunity to let the diaphragm just soften, because it would have crunched as you're curling over, and then you would be able to pull that expansion out.
I love that. I'm going to do that today. Thanks for that, Michelle.
You're welcome. It was lovely I had a different idea in my mind, and as soon as you said curling over, it was like, oh yeah, and then it just feels so nice to come back up. Robyn, it's been wonderful to talk to you. It's been, you have a wonderful way of sharing your knowledge and sharing the idea of energy, which for some people, as soon as you say the word energy, they kind of step back, but you really explain it in such a nice, gentle way, and to that experience of emotions. Because for some people, it's like, I don't want to talk about my emotions. I don't want to, go down or reveal something that's been a part of my life. But to actually just say, we just let them go. We don't need to carry the suitcase anymore, or the 25 suitcases that are behind us. We can actually let them all go, so we can actually have the carefree that you used. I love that word as well. That carefree feeling where you can just be so light and lifted. And so I appreciate the work that you're doing, the way you've articulated it, and also the packaging that you've brought to it. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Oh, that's my pleasure. I love what I do. And I can't wait for each day. I say, I'm not going to work today, I'm going to fun.
Yeah. My mentor would say he's going to the office to play.
Yeah,
And he'd say sometimes he says to the lab, but most of the time he's just, I played in the office all day today. It was so great. I feel the same. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Michelle.
Season 3 is devoted to the transformational process that happens when people reach into their authentic selves and create magic. Our season has several publications this year, and we hope that they inspire and empower you to consider living your true heart's desire with the love and compassion for others at the forefront. Thank you for joining us. This is Be Well with Michelle Greenwell, and we wish you well-being.